Okay, so our next session is actually a panel discussion about the topic that's quietly interested formulated when attitude meets aptitude, championing innovation as a way to future-proof companies. Our guest will be moderated by our dear friend Senad Kulenović. He's managing partner at Digital IQ and Agilcon Croatia. Senad is a dear friend of ICT Hub, and we've been working for many years on different digital transformation projects and educational formats. He has over 20 years of experience in different executive roles in telecommunication industry, and for the last couple of years, he's owner of consultancy company that is helping companies digitally transform themselves and build better employee and customer experience projects. And also Senad is someone who's co-founder of a company that's a platinum Salesforce partner for the region. So this whole very exciting and extensive experience from the past and what inspires him for the future brings him to host this panel discussion on championing innovation as a way to future-proof companies. Senad, thank you so much for being here with us today and for taking your time to moderate this discussion and to prepare with our guest. I leave you to introduce them and to share a bit more about the topic of your conversation for this panel.
Okay, Sandra, thank you. Thank you very much for a nice introduction. I would like to welcome all of the attendees and our esteemed panelists. So I would like just to welcome you on our panel session when attitude meets aptitude, championing innovation as a way to future-proof companies. So what we know now that we are living in strange times, which are both full of challenges and opportunities. We have situations where companies around the world react to it in a differently, some with anxiety, some with sense of panic, while other companies look this from the perspective of opportunity, where they try to find ways to unleash creative potential within the company. And there's a nice saying in English that never waste a good crisis. So to use this pandemic as an opportunity to find a new different business model, which will make a company growth in a different way and prepare it to compete in the future economy. So today we are going to have discussion on the panel around this perspective and of course other innovation perspectives. And I'm sure it's going to be an amazing panel with an even more amazing panelist who fall into the second category, or into the category of leaders who are successfully tackling the challenges of today, and not just challenges which we are facing today, but they are also looking forward to tackle the challenges of the future, to prepare their companies not just to compete today, but to prepare them for competing in even more digital economy in a landscape which is hard to predict how it's going to look like. So I'm very excited about next 45 minutes. Because I'm sure that all of us are going to learn from this. So warm welcome to my esteemed panelists. Today we have with us Mr. Akshay Chopra, Vice President and Head of Innovation and Product Design, CEMEA at Visa. Hi, Akshay. Then we have Nataša Pavlović, CMO Mercator-S in Serbia. Nataša, warm welcome as well. And we have Marta Forai, Regional Senior HR Partner at Assert International. Hi, Marta, nice to having you here. Hi, guys. So I would like to ask you a few questions. But before the questions itself, I would like to have a few introductory words regarding leadership. So what has happened that crisis has hit all the markets, all have different challenges. But it has also changed how the customers navigate markets where they buy or do their daily living and daily lives. So they have changed their habits, expectations, and behaviors in a very short time span. And the scope and change of pace is too swift for most of the companies. So in some cases, company need to reassess their complete business model. In some cases, they need to do something new. They are not quite sure what it should be done. But some of the most compelling issues are with new innovation capabilities, and there are lots of uncertainties. And of course, there's the topic of leadership: how to govern, manage, prioritize all the innovation initiatives within the company. So I'm going to start with Akshay, and please, what is your perspective regarding leaders' approach to innovation? So has it changed compared to pre-COVID times? What type of innovation leaders are pursuing now compared to, I don't know, 1 year ago? Why? So maybe to start with those two questions at the beginning.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Senad, and the team. It's great to be here. It's been an interesting time indeed. Let me share some perspective on what's changed, at least for me, from a leadership perspective. I've always believed in that term, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I don't think this could be a better situation to prove it, right? No strategy ever written, even in December 2019, could have predicted what 2020 was going to be like. But if you had invested in building a culture that is supportive, that is agile, and that's excited to do new things as opposed to just go on the same path, you would have actually come out of this ahead. And I've been very fortunate to be part of a team where we have built that kind of a culture, and we were very quickly able to adapt to this new reality. There was a huge demand on my team, as you can imagine, because the whole exodus towards digital methods means that innovation teams, digital teams, have had more projects this year than they ever have in the past. And despite of that, and we couldn't even meet our clients in person. So that cultural agility to take on new challenges, look at things as challenges and not problems, that really helped us go completely digital, navigate through this completely different time. And I think the cultural aspect is critical because throughout this time, like we have focused, of course, on the work, but as a leader, I have had it always top of mind that the team needs to be happy. The team needs to see why they're doing and what's the principle behind it. So I think culture is the winning formula in a situation like this. And I feel like, and I can speak for my organization and other companies and teams in similar positions, where they have built that culture and where they have succeeded through it, what's now happening is those teams are able to help others and take on a service mentality, because there's a lot of suffering because of COVID-19, not just on the health front, but there's businesses are suffering, small businesses are devastated. There's a lot of people who need help. So if you've had the culture where you've been ready to embrace this change and accommodate it, you've ideally also been able to give back a little bit and support the community in some way. So yeah, that's all I would say. There is no one formula. The only thing is always have culture as a top priority, never take it for granted, and have your finger on the pulse continuously.
So following up to what you said, so having in mind that there's a seismic shift that has been, both in economy, both in businesses, both in the way that we are living, not just from the health-related issues, but also to the business-related issues. Did you change any of innovation priorities in Visa in recent months, and what are the major innovation efforts that you are putting right now?
Yeah, I mean, without going into specifics, because we're a public company, what I can share is, look, we have seen an unprecedented move towards digital commerce and digital payments. And this is not news to anybody, but just the seismic shift, the tectonic shift that we've seen is something that nobody had predicted. So a few things that we've started doing to a much greater extent than before. Firstly, we're helping businesses. These are merchants, these are large merchants and small merchants, businesses of different sizes, bring their business online. And this has always been a priority, but it is much, much bigger a priority now. Second is we've been going very heavily into making sure that touchless commerce can happen anywhere and is secure and is healthy as well. So in many markets, such as where I live in Dubai, 96% of customers tell us they wouldn't even go to a shop if they have to make physical contact with a cashier or with a shared device. So being able to provide those experiences is critical. Third, we've built a disproportionate focus this year on supporting small and medium businesses. So right at the beginning of the pandemic or early into the pandemic, we pledged $200 million to support small businesses through the crisis. And even my team, the innovation function, we've been disproportionately focused on small business tools, solutions, and recovery. So these are just a few of these examples, but the most important thing while we're doing all this is while we have to act fast, like in a business like ours, we have to make sure that everything we're building is still as safe and as secure, given that we're custodians of so much financial information. So yeah, I think that move towards touchless commerce, small, medium business support are two of the big themes that we've been focusing on.
Thank you, Akshay. So this was a nice introduction for Nataša. So related to these digital challenges, which has presented ourselves, which has been presented to ourselves and to economy at large. So what are the innovation projects which were initiated maybe in Mercator in these past 6 months, and how do you in general approach innovation from strategic perspective, and maybe when you have some kind of operational challenges which just pop up along the way? So is there any way to secure innovation to get to market, given the fundamentally different needs to approach the market with innovation sometimes? So can you share your experiences and answer this question, please?
Okay, thank you. I hope you hear me well.
Yeah, I hear you well.
Great. Thank you. And of course, as my colleague before said, there is no proven formula for success when it comes to innovation. So particularly when it comes to in a digital era where we know that everything is hyper speed, so we need to be agile. And the hardest thing for everyone is that there is no silver bullet or something tool or methodology or something that can help us through all the process. So I think that the most important thing, even though that there is no copy pasting in innovations, are that there are some things that are important. After all, the leader is the one who needs to be a sponsor of all the innovations. So the someone who leads the company or the project needs to be someone who will be in front of the group, in front of the employees, and to ensure that the whole culture of the team is someone who will follow those kind of innovations and processes. So of course it's a learning process, so we learn it from mistakes, we learn it from good results, and of course many mini tests are necessary in this innovation process. So the most important is actually that we first in Mercator-S, when we think about innovations, we are thinking about customers' needs. So otherwise we can have a great idea, but it won't last very long if it is not beside the customer's needs. So we are constantly working on innovations in our company, and we are, I can say, the first that introduced in our country the tic-tac cash registers, then scan registers in our company. Then we introduced the first loyalty program, which is Supercard. Today we have more than 1 million members, and all of that allows us to big data and everything, analyze them and to understand their needs. And that is the main point where we start thinking about what they need and what we can give them. And of course, that is something that was very important for us even in this period of Corona, because such culture of constant innovations has proven to be very good and successful even in these times. So the new reality brings some new solutions, such as in e-commerce. So we was able to expand this in pandemic. So we introduced new services such as Click and Collect. Then we became the first retailer to enter the fast delivery partnership with Global Application. So we now can allow to our customers to have groceries orders from IDEA up to 60 minutes in their homes. So that is something that is always about the convenience, always about something which are important to our customers. And first of all, as I said, the leader and the culture of the company who encourage those kind of innovations and implement them.
Thank you. So it seems that you have done a number of initiatives in a short time span, and a number of innovations have been put on market. So from my transformation project, now I can fully agree that leader is the key person, so that you need to have buy-in from top of management, especially from CEO. He needs to be the sponsor, he or she, and to really be on top of the change all of the time. But nevertheless, you know, we all have limited time span, so we all have our duties. And sometimes you have a situation in which company reacts like immune system, you know, it fights back the change, regardless of the root causes and the needs. So did you face some of this resistance? Let's say it's sometimes organic. In most cases, people do not have like some special agenda. They just, you know, we would like to continue doing and being as we are. So have you seen such challenges and reaction, and what are the lessons learned? How did you manage to move the company forward in that regard, especially in sales and marketing department?
Okay, well, yes, that is something that will always happen when you're introducing a change in management or in processes or just in communication to our customers. So it was hard at the beginning, but as I said, the culture that you are growing through years is something that is, let's say, win-win situation at the end, because at first, you need to show your people that even if they make mistake or if they try something new, that you won't punish them for that, and that you also need to do on your own example to show some mistakes that you make, to show some good results that you made, and to give people, if they have some new idea which can be implemented, the possibility to implement that, and not to punish them because something didn't go well. So that is, I think, main thing that was good for us to show from many tests that there are some things that we can implement, and through time people are now used to changes and used to the retail is something that is changing all the time, and the customer behavior is changing all the time, especially now in Corona situation. So we must be agile all the time, and through time organization is used to that. So now we don't have so many problems during implementing something new.
So the main concept of business model innovation is development of new unique concepts supporting organization financial viability. So that includes also the mission, you know, the processes which should bring these concepts to fruition. So a lot of companies still approach innovation from bottom-up perspective, so without the essential support from the top. So coming back to you, Nataša, what are your experiences about integrating innovation as integral part of overall business strategy? So not to have innovation as some kind of byproduct of, you know, we are doing this on the side, but we are doing it as a part of our core business strategy, which should help us enable our business to be competitive in years to come.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you see, I got into this line of work many years ago when I was living in Singapore, and I'm talking about like the early 2010s is when I got my first innovation job, so to speak. And back then there were very few innovation centers, innovation labs, and the few that opened up, a lot of people were very skeptical about them. That what is this? Is just to make the company look good? Is it just like a sales showroom? What is it, right? And huge amount of skepticism. But you know, fast forward 7 years, actually 8 years, and there's been so many ups and downs in the economy. There's a pandemic, and I would say like very confidently that I would imagine that almost everyone in the Fortune 100 has a innovation function of some. Yes, not everyone. So we have innovation functions in pretty much most large companies around the world, digital functions, digital transformation functions, what would you like to call them? And I think one of the biggest things that's happened is the ones that were like a showroom or just PR, they died out. And in some companies, the first version of that died out, and then a couple of other versions came up and down. And then most companies have now that have had innovation centers and labs or innovation as a function for a while have matured their model. And it's a model where innovation is actually a part of everything they do. So if I take Visa, for example, right, we started the innovation as a function in 2013. I joined Visa in 2015, and it was still very early days, and we still hadn't fully integrated it. But since then, in the last 5 years, like I've seen a dramatic cultural change at Visa. Literally, virtually all of our clients, all of our ecosystem partners, the fintechs, the big internet companies, all of them work with us, at least spend some time in our innovation centers. Internally, in most regions, there are multiple innovation centers and studios, and we work on all the new product development that happens and help make sure that whatever the company is trying to make is not just R&D, but it's validated by the user, it solves a real user need, and it is built with an agile process. So yeah, I think we've definitely come a long way in that we're a very close part of our ecosystem strategy in terms of how we work with others. We're a critical part of our new product development function. And that's why a company like Visa at least has been investing so much in building and expanding these innovation centers. Just to give you an example, in the CEMEA region, Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa, that I run innovation for, we have the innovation center in Dubai. We have an innovation studio in Moscow, and we're also starting one in sub-Saharan Africa next year as well. So it's only happening because the business sees real value, and we've embedded ourselves in the strategy as well as execution.
It's a great example. Thank you, Akshay. So coming back to Marta, can we hear now?
I can hear you guys. I hope you can hear me as well.
Super.
Great.
Nice to have you back. So it's voice now. So coming back to the question, which I asked, just to repeat for the audience once again. So you meet a lot of business leaders in your line of work. What has changed regarding innovation and the way the leaders are managing companies in general regarding innovation and transformation topics?
Yeah, so thank you guys for the great story before I started, because this is something that is actually a trend here and something that we see here in companies and in the region. So as you know, we do a lot of research here in Assert, and for one of those, we partner with CEOs as the most important guys for innovation, as Nataša said. And we asked them, where do you see innovation is going in the future, in the next year? And what we saw is that 60% of them, actually more than half, is seeing them going rapidly up, like tech development, innovation, or remaining the same. So in these terms, we see a shift that during this crisis, a lot of companies have rapidly adapted, but we also see a trend that companies who have started their long-term journey towards innovation have had some pause, let's say, took a pause to regroup, to see what's going on, and then continued rapidly to innovate in a strategical way. So this is what we see. And importantly, we see a shift towards people and culture. Yeah, we see a lot of companies really investing in people and looking for innovative ways to attract and retain people. In these terms, they are really competing to build their employer branding in an innovative way. And they are far more accepting than they were, let's say, 2 years ago, towards innovative solutions that are coming towards them, that we offering them. So this is that we see in what are some of the trends, yeah, the changes.
So regarding this topic, so it was interesting to me to say that you have seen the change, but sometimes, you know, to know the topic is not walk the talk. So yeah. in terms of top management, CEO, do they really are they really investing? Are they backing it up with investments in people? So it's not just something that we know that people are most valuable, but you need to invest in skills and knowledge gap closure. So you need to sometimes re-educate people, and in some cases on N-1 or N-2, you don't have persons who can really, execute the need for innovation in a short time span. Sometimes it's not always the case. So how the top managers are regulating, addressing such challenges if they occur in your experience?
Yeah, so I think the question that you're asking me is about, I think, where we are as a region. And I think we are now in accepting innovation, but we still, in most of the companies, they are struggling towards accepting, and then they're going to be open to developing these leaderships. And we do see a lot of change towards both managers, HR managers, educating themselves what is the right way to lead innovation. And it is going to be a journey, but I think we are going there, definitely.
Super, thank you. So Nataša, coming back to the topic of innovation culture in your company. So we have talked a lot of, so far, we have mentioned culture, I would say at least 15 or 20 times. So culture change is really crucial to facilitating change and steer the innovation. So how do you empower innovation culture in Mercator? So what were, if you can share it with us, what were the specific actions you have taken so far, or you plan to take in near future to empower this innovation culture in your company?
Well, as I said, it is crucial when we are talking about digital transformation or some innovation project that we have all employees encouraged to do that, because you can have a great leader or a great idea, but if you don't have a team and the culture that encourages that is something that you cannot implement it tomorrow. So we always say in our company that if we don't believe it, no one will. So we have some kind of internal campaigns before we start with the campaign to our customers or to external partners or someone, that we introduce those projects to all the necessary employees in a company. So we have a cross-sector organization. So all the employees from different sectors are included in this project, so that all company can live this project. And if we believe it, then tomorrow when we implement it, the whole organization will know everything about it and will do everything necessary about it. So as a corporate value, we defined that creating a culture where every employee feels, or he or she has some level of autonomy, of course, to do something with that is really important for us. So, for example, as the colleague says, it is nice to have Instagram or TikTok or Facebook page, but must have is having a professional team behind that, and educated team that communicates all the platforms that we are saying that are now crucial in digital transformation, and of course to be in accordance with all strategy and goals of our company. So that is mainly something that we do in cross organization with exact points of goals and strategy that we want to do.
Thank you. So you're approaching this from Agile perspective in terms of innovation, culture, and change, and you are investing in skill set upgrade, and in a way that company can address go-to-market strategy from their different perspectives. And what you have said previously really strike once again in my mind, that you are showing how that it's okay to make mistakes by your own personal example, which is not that common in the region, where leaders must be, the guys or girls who do not make mistakes, who lead without any mistakes. But you are showing that without taking risks, you cannot move forward, in order to be successful.
Exactly.
Thank you for this insight that you shared with us. And Marta, coming back to you, so what are the actions that HR managers and the top leaders are doing when it comes to adopting a new way of thinking. So are they looking for innovation ambassadors throughout the organization? How are they looking to involve them in process in top decision making or top strategic priorities choosing? How do they include those innovation ambassadors in business improvement overall? So from an HR perspective, how do we come to this productive environment where we can really facilitate innovation as integral part of our business DNA?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, we see HR and management really educating themselves. And then I said they are really accepting this new now, yeah, this new concept. And what do? They, I think, want to make a culture, and this is what we also suggest, being that we are a company full of entrepreneurs. Yeah? They are making a culture that is innovation ready. I think there are two things that is happening. If let's say, if I talk from an experience of entrepreneurship and this role that go well, a good thing to say is something that Nataša said, is rewarding every behavior that goes toward it. And I think this is what they also want to do. They are making formal and informal roles of people who need to listen. And I think what needs to happen more is some of this, more listeners that we have. Nataša also mentioned research and similar, and this is what I think we need: more people who are doing researches and listening to understand the customer and the client. And in order to be able to innovate, otherwise you are just, listening to place a product. And how we can do it, definitely, you create an environment when you make innovation a culture thing, shall I say. It has to be internalized with people, and there needs to be a development of leadership that is going to be able to lead this kind of innovation, to be ready to, stimulate both exploring and creation and implementing these ideas. So I think it can be utilized more in companies, but I think there is this state of mind that is going towards this. Yeah.
So what you have said is really that I think that all of you have said, and you just pointed it out in more detail, that innovation is like a mosaic. There is no silver bullet to it. So it's a multi-dimensional approach where a lot of puzzles need to be fit in, and sometimes you make mistakes. It's normal. You need to admit it. You need to be agile to move forward, to deliver faster, to succeed fast, fail fast, and then to be in ever-moving mode. So it's something which is, I think, a great lesson for everybody who is thinking about transforming the company or putting innovation at the center of the company efforts. So, but Akshay, if you could, point out 3 top key initiatives which you have, started when creating an innovation environment within Visa. Which 3 could you point out? Of course, if you can do it, since you are a publicly listed company.
Yeah, sure. I think I can think of a few, and I'm talking broadly over the last few years, right, as we've been on this journey. I think that the number one mindset shift, I'm going to talk about 3 mindset shifts, really. The number one was when we realized that we should not be building products with the strategy or the technology or the business plan as the starting point, but rather the customer needs to be the starting point for all our product development innovation efforts. So that was one big mindset shift, this whole adoption of human-centered design as just an ethos. And a lot of companies just talk about it, but I actually work in this company and I see that it's being used on a daily basis. When I joined in 2015, most people would not have heard of what is design thinking or human-centered design. Now, if I just walk around, I hear that thrown around in conversations where I have no involvement as well. So that's been one mindset shift from products, technology, strategy to the user being the heart of innovation. Second mindset shift was we realized that we need to unbundle and make our services a lot more consumable. And this is also around the mid 2010s when we really went down this path of, we've been around since 1958, but it's in the late 2010s that we actually opened up the Visa developer portal, allowed a whole slew of companies, not just the banks and merchants, but fintechs, startups, internet companies to use our APIs and use our microservices and capabilities. So that unbundling of Visa is another major thing that happened that allowed us to really expand more at scale. And then I think the last and the most important thing is the realization that we can never be successful at innovation if we are to do it alone. So especially, we are a network business. If we were to succeed at innovation, it has to be with our partners. So if I look at my team, we cover 92 markets. About 70% of our work is not with Visa colleagues, but with fintechs, startups, internet companies, banks, merchants, acquirers, issuers. And that's because we realize that, if we are to play, it has to be an ecosystem play. We do a lot more than co-create, a lot more of co-creation than just product development. And I think that's a critical mindset. So yeah, I think these three are pretty much the big three things that have helped us get where we are right now.
Great. I think this is, you have led me to the next question, and this is co-creation role in innovation process. So basically what you have said, that 90% of innovation initiatives and work effort which your team does is with non-Visa team, fintechs and all. So, and what is the experience of Nataša and Marta? So Nataša, can you share with us your experience and your view regarding co-creation and openness of Mercator for creating new business paradigms with teams which are not Mercator's teams?
Okay, yes, I agree totally, because we are all aware of that, and we see all the industries which interfering with each other. Then, of course, we see that we are all jumping into each other's backyards. But in our country also, there are many examples, not just in Mercator-S, and I will say a couple of examples, of course, in Mercator-S, how we are dealing with that. But for example, telecommunication companies becomes banks becoming IT companies. We have also example that Walmart was all close to acquiring TikTok also, so much of that, so that there are many technological solutions that encourage us and that break down the barriers between markets. So that is the mainly thing that we today now can not just inside the house do all the processes and all the necessary things in digital transformation, that we have our partners and vendors in that. And in Mercator-S, we always defined at first why we are doing something, because beside that, they are customers and their necessities. But from the other side, we are thinking about what is something that we will make. And after that, we're thinking with who we will do that. For example, in this period, when we're talking about e-commerce, for example, we had example that we did with global application fast delivery service. We introduced them in our system, not delivered just by ourselves or our logistics, and to have the external company that will do that for us. That was one example now. And of course, Supercard can be the multi-partner program loyalty that we have in Serbia. That is something that was done in cooperation with Sberbank and Supercard, which is the company for itself. And beside that, we have our team in our company that is dealing just with the big data and analysis of that big data and customer relationship management and market research. So that is something that we can say that through different vendors, platforms, and partners, we can have a better understanding of our businesses and our customers, and then different technologies that can help us to do that. So we have some platforms, yes.
Actually, technology comes as a consequence of the business decisions we create along the way, where we put this human-centric design perspective at our core, and we facilitate change and culture of making mistakes. Not the life-threatening mistakes. It's obvious that there is a level for mistakes, but mistakes where everybody knows that it's okay to risk and to move themselves, forward as well as the company. And this comes to Marta, and I'm gonna come to this final thought section. We have 5 minutes more. So, Marta, what is your takeaway regarding personal development? So, how to facilitate need for personal development in a culture which we have in the region, where most of the managers and most of people, I would say, from my experience, disagree if I'm wrong. I used to hierarchy models. The boss is right. Follow the rules, and then do as you're told. So, in order to facilitate change overall, how to drive personal development within the company, and what are some levers you might share with us that might help, facilitate the change from HR perspective?
Yeah, so definitely, like from a psychological point of view, as we are all humans, one important thing is something that is already mentioned. There's something called shaping in behavioral psychology, and the idea of shaping is that you want to reward every attempt of a desired behavior. So maybe it's not, something that you use as a scientific term, but this is what you're actually already doing. And I think the companies make this mistake of not rewarding every attempt, but just the end result. And in this way, you create this culture that you mentioned, like the boss is right. And I have to say, there's a huge power in not commenting. If you are a leader, a boss, and you do not comment on someone's attempt, it's similar to punishing, or what you are reinforcing that this is not a desired behavior. So the psychology says praise, reward, mention every behavior that leads to a culture that you want to internalize. So if it's a culture of innovation, you should praise mistakes. You should say, good job, what can we learn, and similar. And this is something that changes. I think leaders do want to do that, but leaders also need more, experience or situation where they can actually say this. And it's always risky, it's always risky to make a mistake, but a mistake needs to be made in order to develop and to advance. So I think this is something that is very important for those who are, dealing with people.
Thank you, Marta. So, and I would like to ask you for your thoughts, like closing thoughts regarding the following question. So, from your experience as leaders, what are the most common mistakes and pitfalls we might be able to avoid? So, because it's much wiser to learn from other people's mistakes, and I'm sure you've made yours along the way when becoming successful. So, Akshay, can you please share, some mistakes and pitfalls which are typical and people should avoid? And the same question goes to Nataša and Marta. In few sentences, please.
I would say, if you're ever in a position where you think you know it all, then you're going to fail very quickly. So never have that thing that, I figured it out, this is how it is. You'll get disrupted very soon. So that hunger and that humility, I think, is what I'd recommend.
Thank you, Akshay. Nataša.
Okay, I could recommend tests because we saw that in our CRM process that you need to do a lot of tests to see how the customer will respond. So sometimes we were good, sometimes not. So that shows us what is something that we will do in the future. So many mini tests and encourage those kinds of tests.
Thank you.
Marta. I have to say, fear is something that is stopping people's leaders and similar. So I think you should do whatever you need to do to embrace listening, embrace creation, have these people in research test and everything, because what we see is companies really putting them up for failure before they even try it. So, not wanting to try innovation because it's not for them or similar. So, and if you want to, succeed in a competitive market, you need to be different and you need to innovate. So just, educate your leadership, make positions for listening, for testing, for exploration, make a failing part of your culture, and grow your business through innovation.
Thank you, Marta. Thank all three of you. So I learned a lot today, and it's not just empty words. So what I have learned today is that innovation is not one-way street. It's a mosaic where you need to fit a lot of puzzles together, where it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay that people around you make mistakes, that you reward desired behavior and attempt, not just the end results, where you should put humans in the center, to be aware that it's about culture change, it's about human-centric design. You should listen, when we are talking about human-centric design, we are not talking about employees and top management, we are talking about customers, we should always remember this. Another relevant topic for me was also this unbundling of services and products, to create this co-creation economy where you invite different stakeholders to join you, to innovate together with you, to approach your business from perspective which is not limited by your P&L, fear of cannibalization, to embrace the change, to drive this change as well. And the last thing, coming out of this, it's normal, final thought that Akshay has said, that first pillar is we cannot do it innovation if we do it by ourselves, we cannot exit the loop we are in, daily loop which we are all living, without involving others with through. And one of the ways could be service products and bundling. So it was amazing 47 minutes with you guys and girls. Thank you a lot. I want to thank you for participating and to leave the floor to other colleagues which are going to follow up after us. Thank you all, and have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you all.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.